Hey everyone, Matt here on another edition of Ask Ron. Ron, how you doing today?
I'm good.
All right. We have a few questions today. The first one being from Samuel in Virginia. Samuel says, in commercial properties, I see that you've used private lenders and a bank to fund a no money down deal. So my question is, how will I find these type of private lenders?
Same way you find private lenders for single family houses. The easiest way is to start letting people know what you do for a living. And if you really want to get some intense training on it, I'd suggest you get Jay Connor's course on it. I've been working with him on it for years now. But it's really just a matter of talking to people, and it's a lot easier when you have something to talk about. I'll tell you that. Key question is do you have an IRA or any other investment capital, not getting a high rate of return safely? And if the answer is yes, then that just leads you into the conversation of how you will allow them to lend you money secured by real estate. But on commercial deals, I don't know what you have in mind. So private lending may or may not be the way you're going to buy a commercial property with no money down. I don't know. There's so many ways to buy it. In fact, I just spent the last 2 days with my commercial mastermind group. All of their deals are no money down because I put up the money, but somebody's putting up the money. In fact, my first day of my commercial boot camp, which is actually coming up next week, isn't it? Yeah. Talk about 14 ways to buy a commercial property with no money down, but only one of them includes private lending. So better you actually get some training instead of worrying about where to get the private money. You may not even.
Got it. All right. Samuel has 2 more questions. And his next one is, if I have a real estate license that is inactive and not with a real estate company, does not being able to assign mean that I have to settle for listing agreements only?
Where are they from? What's that?
He's in Virginia.
Okay, there's nothing stopping him from assigning, so I'm not sure where this question's coming from. If he was in Illinois, he couldn't sign a contract unless he had a license. Whether that be inactive or not, I don't know. Check on that. But if he's in Virginia, there's nothing stopping him from signing the contract. And you can't do a listing agreement anyway if you're active and the license is inactive. So I don't know how to answer that question. Maybe you could rephrase it.
Gotcha. Maybe I'll try again next week. All right. He does have one more though. And that question is, do you have any certified deal-making attorneys in Virginia?
I don't know. I only have the ones that are on my website, but it really doesn't matter. It's so easy to find an attorney that does real estate closing. To answer this question, how many times do you think here, Matt, that I've answered that question? Where do I find it?
At least quite a few, for sure.
Point. I promise you that. Yeah. So you might want to go back and check some previous Q&A sessions, but honestly, finding a closing attorney is no harder than going on Google and putting in real estate closing attorneys in whatever city you're in. By the way, if you find one in the whole state, it's good for the whole state. It's all done virtual. You don't even have to be in your city anymore. You're not going to go meet them physically, neither is your buyer or your seller. And then call them and find out if they do real estate closing. That's what they specialize in. I don't know why people find it so hard. I do know why. They don't take the time to do any work. They just want me to answer the question for them and drop an attorney in their lap. I can't do it. This is a big country, and unfortunately, I don't know attorneys in every city in this country. So you have to find them yourself. A little bit of research. They got this thing called Google, makes it very easy.
That's right. All right, that was it for Samuel. Moving on to the next one, we have India from North Carolina. India says, in regards to trust, I'll be the beneficiary of the trust, but that part is kept private. Is that correct?
That is correct. Trust agreement goes in your filing cabinet. Nobody sees it but you.
All right. Nice.
The benefits of the land trust is privacy.
Absolutely. All right. The next question we have is from Edward out in California. Edward says, I have a seller who won't sign the deed until the loan is paid off, so I recommended doing a lease option. Is there a quick turn exit strategy that you'd recommend to cash him out in the next few months?
To cash him out in the next few months, the only way you're gonna do that is to find somebody to move into it on a lease option or just sell it for cash. I don't know how much equity you got in it. You didn't disclose that, but you maybe just want to sell it for cash right now. If you're talking about the next few months, that's probably your only exit because you're not gonna lease option it to a tenant buyer who's going to get a loan on the next few months. If they could qualify in the next few months, they can probably qualify now. And no reason for them to lease option. So I wouldn't get into a deal where I have to cash them out in the next few months. So that's the answer to that question. Tell them that you need at least 2 or 3 years, and 3 years would be my minimum, or don't do it unless your intent is to put it right back on the market and cash out of it. But I'll tell you that even that's going to have its quirks if you don't have the title. That means that the seller is going to have to deed the property directly to the buyer when you get them, and then you get to keep everything above what you sold it for and what you agreed to pay for it. That's going to require seller participation. And so that's a little trickier deal. And you cannot put it on the market, even look for a buyer until you have an agreement to either lease it with an option or to buy it. So if that is your intent, you're better off just getting a purchase and sale agreement on it and letting the seller know exactly what you're doing. And you also need to let them know that when it comes time that you find this buyer and cash them out, that they're going to be deeding it directly to the buyer, and the closing statement is going to show your compensation right on there. It doesn't cost them anything. They're going to get what they agree to take, but that deal is going to be a little tricky. And you also didn't tell me whether the house is vacant or occupied, because if it's occupied, it's going to be difficult for you to show it. So I'm thinking you're just creating a really hard deal to get done here and trying to compensate because the seller is not very cooperative. Probably better off finding a better seller to work with and just buying the house.
Got it. All right. We have one more question for today, and that's from Brennan, who is also out in California. Brennan says, Ron, what are your top favorite markets right now, and why do these stand out as key areas to invest in?
My top favorite market is the one you live in, because it's just as good as any other market, better than all the rest because you live in it. You're right there where the action is. You know your city better than you would in any other city. And if you can't do deals in your city, you won't do them in any other city either. Really, that's the truth. The grass is always greener on the other side until you find out it's got manure under it. It don't make any difference where you live. I don't care if you're in California, if you're in Mississippi, if you're in Maine. You got students in all of them, in fact, doing deals. So California is just as good a place as, in fact, better than most, because the prices are higher in most of California, and that's good because higher prices mean more dollars for you. More dollars you fall in, the more stick to you. So it has nothing to do with where you live. People are always going to be selling houses, and other people are always going to be buying houses. And so if you move to another state, you're going to have the same situation, the same steps you got to do, and the state is irrelevant. Okay.
All right, Ron, I think that's all we have for today.
All right, guys. We are nearing the end of October here. It's almost Halloween, for crying out loud. So you're running out of a month. I'm out of year. You have 2 months left. What do you do? 2 months left. Why don't you join me for my commercial boot camp next week? It'll be several months before I do it again. You can find out all the details. We've got a really good deal working on it right now. And we've got some really good commercial deals. Last couple of days at my mastermind group, we must have made 10, 12, 15 offers on properties that the students brought in. And, I fund them if they want to partner with me. So if you want to break into commercial, what a great way to do it. All you've got to do is go find the deals, and we do all the work, and I put up the money if you're in my commercial mastermind group. So get in the boot camp next week and find out what it's all about. This is your good chance for you to explore commercial, because some people are under the impression that I've got to have a big financial statement and a lot of money to be in commercial. It's just not true. It's absolutely not true. In fact, we just closed the deal a few weeks ago that I bought last year with a student. And okay, so he made $43,000 on it. He didn't get rich on it. It was a little small deal. We just purchased one right about that same time that I bought for $650,000, but $50,000 down, and we're putting that property on the market right now without touching it for $1.6 million. So we paid $650. Realtor says he can sell it for 1.6 million. If that's true, that's a nice hit. How much did my student put up? Not 1 red cent. And they get 25% of that profit when that property sells. So that's the world that I live in, and that's the world I want you to explore. So get in a boot camp next week. Get financing for you. Remain as easy as we possibly can. When's that starting? That's Wednesday, isn't it? Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, it's all virtual. And it's the last time that we're going to do virtual. That you can count on. Next year, I'll definitely be doing that live. I'm not going to do it just virtual next year. So I had a schedule for live, and he coerced me and beat me until I agreed to do it virtual. So this is it, baby. If you want it virtual. Now I have recorded it virtual, so when you register for it, you will get the recordings of one we did before virtual anyway. But I want you there while I'm actually doing it. And if you get registered pretty quick, you can also submit some deals, because I'm going to be discussing deals during that class as well. It's like we spent the last 2 days doing live. So anyway, get in there and make sure you're in business management for one of those before the end of the year. We talk about running this business of real estate and all of the things that you would expect to be in a thing called business management. So get you well prepared for next year. I've got one more quick start live this year. Where is that? Jacksonville? Yeah, in November. So plenty of activity for you to get your training and get prepared in 2022, the best year that you've ever seen. See you next week.